Welcome back to Hardwired. I'm Andrew.
I'm Royden Ogletree. Nice to be here for the first time.
Glad to have you here. We're going to be talking about some of this week's biggest news stories in the game industry. And first off, we got to start with some of the bad stuff out there.
There is a few bad things, to be completely honest.
Honestly, most of them have to do with Activision.
Yeah.
Which has been the case for a few weeks now.
I'm new to this story, so this is like, you were talking to me about this a few weeks ago, but I had never, it's crazy that I had never even heard the first thing about this. But yeah, we're talking about Bobby Kotick and his misdeeds, I guess, at Activision. Current
CEO and still CEO somehow, Bobby Kotick has been kind of embroiled in this larger overall problem of, some real bad sexual misconduct across his company, an atmosphere of what a lot of employees have described as a frat bro atmosphere that's kind of populated this really awful, toxic work environment for a lot of these people. To make matters worse, it's recently come out that he knew about it, actively sought to defend people who were being reported to HR.
Yeah.
And keep people in places of power and, keep the other stuff on the hush-hush.
And then now his a small minority of his shareholders in Activision and Blizzard are calling for his resignation. So he said that we are shifting to the thing that all these CEOs say that when they get caught up in these controversies, that we are shifting now to a zero tolerance policy. You will not see this happen at HG. But the problem is that as reported by, I think, by the Wall Street Journal at first, is that he was an active participant in covering up these things.
Yeah, you can't shift from yourself to yourself and then say that that's a solution.
Right.
It's become a growing trend across the industry, unfortunately, especially when it comes to female developers in the industry. Last year, it was Ubisoft who was in the spotlight with a toxic work environment being described in a lot of places. A lot of higher-ups at that company ended up getting fired. They restructured the entirety of the company's layout and a lot of HR, and that still really hasn't been enough to address the issues for a lot of people. And Activision is in much the same boat now. Mm-hmm. There's really they have taken little to no real action aside from trying to get people out in the open so that they can more accurately figure out exactly who's saying what, which could be used for other things other than trying to actually help those people. But what's crazy about this is, for as big as the game industry is, this story has hit some news media, but not a lot.
Yeah, like I said, I hadn't heard the first thing. Like, you sent me articles from The Verge, and I'm not as in depth in my gaming news as you are, but work in news for a living, so it's tough to sometimes even look at any more news stories.
Right.
But like, I'll occasionally find stuff on The Verge or IGN and stuff like that. I hadn't seen the first thing about this.
Yeah.
And so it was news to me, and because you told it to me, but I hadn't seen it. And it's in major publications like, I think, the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal. Yeah. It's crazy that I hadn't seen this. If this was a movie, put it this way, if this was a movie studio, this would be leading even Fox News. It would be leading anything.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, much like the Harvey Weinstein thing, it's the amount of people who have come out and said this is a problem, this is happening, it far exceeds even that problem.
Yeah.
With Weinstein, and the fact that the response has been like, it's okay, we can restructure ourselves, has been like.
Policing
insane.
Yourself is
that always goes well.
Goes completely well and fine, and good things come out of that.
Look, right? I know I did a bad thing, but don't worry, I'm not going to do it again. And I
promise.
I swear, I got it this time.
It is crazy to say that you're going to police yourself. Good on the. Don't want to try to have a lot of opinions, but if you have a lot of people coming forward and claiming this stuff, and then an investigation reveals that you actively tried to cover it up,
should be fired on the spot.
Good on the minority shareholders to say, hey, we demand changes. Now, do they see the writing on the wall and maybe this is a money thing? There's always something to do with that. But it is, if you're the minority shareholder, you stand a lot more to lose, because they can easily get you out of there.
Yeah, unfortunately, because of the nature of gaming as an industry, as a platform and its wide appeal, and the fact that the game journalism has been kind of relegated to like a side of news.
Yeah,
a lot of people aren't gonna know that stuff is going on. So boycotting is not really gonna affect their bottom line.
And to be completely honest, ain't nobody boycotting Call of Duty.
Yeah, and
they've been putting out the same game for like 5 years, and nobody's
they've been
boycotting.
out the same game for like over a decade now.
Yeah,
but they, which not to undermine like what devs do. I think devs do good work and hard work, but there's a formula and they do stick to it.
Yeah,
but it's like people aren't going to know that 1,200 plus employees walked out of Activision this week in solidarity with the people over at Raven Software, who is our next story that we have that also involves Activision, where they let 90% of their QA testers who were working on Call of Duty Warzone, which is their most profitable product in the company, they let them go without warning, without severance, for no reason.
Called them contract employees.
Yeah, called them. Well, they are, and
Yeah.
QA testers often are contract employees, and that's because I think even from like a higher up level, they don't look at quality assurance as a development title. But without QA, there is no game. They find the bugs, they find the problems, they make sure things are polished enough to go out, and they'll tell you if your game's garbage. You need QA testers. You can ask any dev about that, and they'll tell you. QA testers are an integral part of everything that they do there.
And they let go 1,200 of them?
1,200 employees walked out in solidarity altogether.
I was going to say 1,200 quality assurance testers.
I don't remember what the exact number was.
Yeah, it was.
But it was significant.
It was a significant amount from what I read on again The Verge. But what's interesting about that too is they're about to release a new map for.
Yeah, they just released
it.
Came out yesterday.
So it feels like, hey, we got you in here for this big thing because they're changing from Verdansk to a different map.
Yeah, a new Paradise map centered around World War II.
Yeah, so it just feels icky.
Yeah,
and good on the people for walking out in solidarity. They were requesting that they be named full-time employees, if I remember correctly from the article.
What's even crazier about this is after multiple news sources talked to some of those QA testers, there was about 25 of them initially let go, and I think an additional 15 were let go later on that same day. But they talked to them, and up to this point, Activision had announced plans internally last year, apparently, to extend full-time positions and full-time benefits to all QA testers by the end of 2021. So this isn't just like bad from the standpoint of why are you firing these people in the first place. It's you made a promise, and now you've gone back on that promise.
Right.
Activision is one of the most profitable gaming companies in the world. Call of Duty could have sold a third of what it did this year on its standalone copy for Vanguard, and they'd still make all the money that they would have lost from that sale being so low back off of things like Warzone and Warcraft. The number of things that they have control over makes them a massive company.
And this isn't like for people like me that are listening to this that are partial gamers that do it as more so recreation when they have time to breathe.
Right.
This isn't like Rockstar to me, where like Rockstar will put out one mega game and continue. I mean, obviously now they have gotten super mega rich on
and they've been releasing GTA 5 every year for the last 6 years.
Super mega rich on GTA Online. But the thing with this, they are releasing a new Call of Duty every single year. They have now made the pay to play model with the map with Warzone. They finally figured that out after years of Fortnite kicking their butt. But like these companies have billions of dollars. Yeah. These things sometimes make more than like Marvel movies, which is saying something, and nobody really talks about that. Like we talk about, Marvel made like $1 billion off of Endgame. I think it was something like over the past few, they made like $3.4 billion or something crazy like that I read. That's insane for a piece of media. For any sort of media to make that much money is nuts. And we don't really talk about how crazy it is for these video games. Hey guys, if you didn't know, video games are popular.
Yeah. And I mean, like you're saying, that it's insane how much money. To put it into perspective, how much video game companies can make off of a single game. Not even a single game, a single aspect of a single game. This is not including game sales. EA last year made $1.62 billion off of FIFA Ultimate Teams packs. Just the microtransactions. Just in 1 year. $1.62 billion. That's billion with a freaking B at the front.
Disgusting. They are never, ever, ever going to go back from these card game pay-to-play models. Like,
right, but
we complained about the VC and 2K for years.
Yeah.
Like, ain't never going back.
And it's because there's people out there that they're oftentimes referred to as whales who have a lot of excess income and can put it into these games. They don't have as much time to play often, so they buy their way through the game instead, which is fair. I'm a dad. I got 2 kids. I get it. Sometimes life comes at you fast, and you need the boost.
I need my player to be a 98 now.
Especially if you got friends who don't have kids, and those.
They're grinding.
They're
grinding
out there always on the grind, and you're like, all right, I'll sit down. What am I, like level 3? All right. Well,
Yeah.
And y'all are level 53. Okay. I got $10 lying around. I can probably throw at this problem, but so I get it. But it is kind of a catch-22 here. They've decided that that's where they want to go with a lot of these games, but they still don't seem to recognize how much they have to have developers and QA testers on board with that. And that means you can't just run all over them, making them work 200-plus hour work weeks. You can't be treating them like they're not the most important part of the product. You can't have the product without them. And there's a long line of people waiting to get into the job.
But not for nothing. I mean, it's a dream job for a lot of people, and they get into it. And you've seen John Oliver had a really good 30 minutes. He made it an entire segment one time about the crunch and about stuff like that. And it left some things out, but it opened a lot of people.
Covered a lot of ground.
Covered a lot of ground as a whole. You can go find it on YouTube. But he covered in that. And like they say in that segment, it's a lot of these people's dream job to go and do that. You're making video games. Yeah. It's awesome. You're making art. You're making art that people continue to play. And a lot of the times will leave a lasting legacy on a lot of people and bring people a lot of joy. But the problem is you have a lot of these people at the top that see the bottom line and see that they can just use these people as contract employees, and we don't have to pay them. And it's kind of, for lack of a BS, because also these people worked during COVID. I know we had a huge slowdown of games and games coming out and things like that, but still, Warzone's putting out new seasons every 3 months. Yeah, every 3 months they were putting out new seasons. That kept a lot of people from losing their minds during the pandemic.
Yeah.
When they were putting out new maps and new content on Warzone and all that stuff. I mean, 2K, FIFA, all these things have all continued to. Madden has all let go of their yearly releases and continued. And maybe those games aren't now the highest quality, but they still put these things out, man.
They're still fairly high quality, and there's kind of become a reckoning for yearly releases where they don't sell as well. Vanguard is, I believe, the worst selling Call of Duty since Call of Duty Ghosts. That could have something to do with the stuff that's going on news-wise, PR-wise with Activision, but that doesn't seem likely. I think it's just that there's a free-to-play version of the game out there in Warzone, and
why would I ever change now?
You can't go back now. I mean, and the campaigns aren't worth the $70 price tag for the next-gen copies or the $60 price tag for the last-gen copies. You're not, if you're into Call of Duty at that level, you're not going to go back to paying full price, especially when they want $15 or $20 for an extra skin in the game to get some cool,
And that hurts because for me personally, as just like a casual gamer, I am terrible at Warzone. I'm absolutely awful. Yeah. I'm very, very bad. But what I like from those games...
I game a lot and I'm bad.
Yeah. What I like from those games is the multiplayer that harkens back to like the when they first came out in like the 360 and stuff. When multiplayer got really, really cool and you could talk to your friends and stuff. Yeah. I like that multiplayer, like team deathmatch multiplayer more than I enjoy.
I'm the same way. I'm not big into this battle royale fad personally, but even games. So like, again, skipping ahead to another story that we're going to be covering here in a minute, but even like Halo Infinite, their multiplayer went completely free to play this time around. Yeah. Both on PC and on Xbox, across all versions of the Xbox One and both versions of the Xbox Series X and S, completely free. And that really bolstered the audience because there was kind of a bad taste left in people's mouths after Halo 5 was not super great. Mm-hmm. And it reinvigorated this whole franchise. But now they are met with the prospect of...
We got to continue this.
You have to keep making content. And it's partly Fortnite's fault here because Fortnite for almost 2-3 years straight put out new content almost every month. And they killed their employees to do it. Legally, I have to say that they have said that they did not push crunch on their employees, as most places don't require crunch, but it is heavily implied that you need to work here. You're not, you need to put some more hours.
You want to make money? You want to live your dream?
I thought you were passionate about video games. Don't you want to make video games? We're making dreams out there. That's magic. And it's all that nonsense that really drives home passion manipulation. So now that's become a standard. And it's spread across this industry to the biggest games in the world, like Call of Duty and Halo, where now they're being required to put out these versions of the games that are going to have to be updatable forever.
Quite literally, probably the two most recognizable titles ever.
There's a reason it's called Infinite, and it's not because of anything in the campaign. They hope that they have said in press releases, they hope that this version of Halo will be the version that lasts forever. It means that they are stuck with this version of the game forever.
I mean, we saw that with Destiny too, though.
Yeah, and it didn't work out for them because they didn't take their content seriously. It's tough to see this stuff happening across the industry because I feel like we all take for granted a little bit how densely difficult it is to make a video game. And
I don't even know where to begin with any of that stuff. Like I like to play with the controller thing and make the thing on my TV
stuff
go
happening
boom.
in those games that you can't even begin to fathom that need to be done, and it takes hundreds of people to do a lot of times, especially for these larger games. And to see that Bobby Kotick is still in a place of power, that his board of directors came to his defense, and that industry-wide there's just not a way for developers to have a voice at the table because unions are few and far between for the gaming industry.
That is really crazy because in most entertainment you do have these unions. Like there's an actors guild, there's a writers guild, there's a producers guild, there's a directors guild.
Right.
There is any sort of guild unless you are like running a boom mic.
Right.
Normally,
even then,
you get union benefits in this sort of normal this grandfathered in entertainment that we've seen for years. Now, this form of entertainment is something that we haven't had even in sports entertainment. There is a players association in every single league. Like in baseball right now, they just have a lockout because they couldn't agree on terms to. They're just not going to play baseball if they can't agree to terms. Right. So this is something that it feels like the natural progression of things is that there will eventually be a union for these developers and lower level people in these companies.
And, it's probably 5-10 years too late, but it is good to see that these tech companies are finally having to be asked these serious questions. Unfortunately, across the board, whether it's the game industry or social media or places like Amazon, they are so heavily ingrained in day-to-day life that to take back power from them in order to establish things like unions or put regulations in place means that
you're fighting an uphill battle.
Yeah, you're gonna have to lawyer up. You're gonna have to be prepared to go to war with this because millions of people are engaged in this, and there's a political battle on one side where you get the bad press of you're the guy that killed the video game industry because they stopped making games for a little while because of a developer walkout or whatever. Yeah. But they're coming together to do that regardless, so they might as well get a voice at the table now.
I mean, I don't know, for those of you who are listening to this, there was a writer's strike, I think, in 2008 for Hollywood. And they just didn't make any TV shows for like a year.
They made some real sparse stuff. They took what they had. Directors became writers in a lot of cases, and that's one of those times where, it was an important moment in that industry for them to walk out and have a chance to have a bigger voice at the table, and it ended up working out in their favors. And every year they get to renegotiate contracts and deals, and I don't think there's anything wrong with people asking that their life be taken as seriously as the product.
Hey, can I go home and see my family tonight, please?
I mean, literally, when I was looking at going to school for game development and looking at jobs that I would get outside of college after I graduated, a lot of places were like, hey, come to Canada. We're in Montreal. Come to Canada. You move here though, and we'll help you find a place when you get here that you'll have to pay for. and you'll be on a 6-month contract, so you'll just be living here temporarily. So then you'll move back, but in that time you can't leave. We need you here all the time. So that's 6 months. I have to guarantee 6 months away from friends and family to go make a video game, which is a dream for a lot of people, but it's a lot to ask for people. And
it's not like you'd be seeing like the great Montreal, though. You wouldn't be seeing the greater Canada area.
You're in like rinky-dink Montreal's, the side where like there's a few buildings that are nice. There's a good
not even that.
pub out there.
Yeah, you wouldn't even be able to get out and walk around.
Yeah,
you'd just be like, hey, come into work.
Minus 30 today in the snow. Got to walk both ways because you couldn't bring your car.
Right, exactly. I don't know, man. And then you see we're talking about Activision, and the final story was that that Activision wasn't going to be involved in the gaming awards this year.
Yeah, Jeff Keighley's Game Awards.
Quote unquote, because they can still win awards,
yeah,
but we won't have them participate. But also, Bobby Kotick is also still on our board that furthers these awards.
The advisory board is made up of a representative from every publisher and development team out there, pretty much. Mostly just the large ones, but there are some members from more indie developers. But yeah, it's a little late for them to be trying to make changes to the entire layout of the show, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So I do get why Jeff Keighley was like, hey, look, we're just not going to have them, there will be no Activision sponsored segments. There will be no Activision announcements that, aren't coming directly from the developers themselves. And we're not going to let any of the Activision leadership speak. So I think that was the right call. It is a bit late for them to remove him, but I think there definitely needs to be a conversation after Thursday when the Game Awards stream, which they'll be streaming on kwtx.com/extra.
Hint.
And on YouTube at KWTX at Hardwired at KWT Extra.
Still working out the kinks here.
And on Facebook at our KWTX.com or KWTX Facebook page. So feel free to tune in there. But yeah, I mean, I would like to see more accountability held here. I know Jeff Keighley. I mean, I don't know him.
No, yeah.
But I know his personality to a certain extent. He has been doing this since the G4 TV days. So
what a throwback.
Yeah, right. Well, they're back also.
Are they back?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
They've worked with a lot of YouTubers to get back
incredible
up, and it's insane to see.
There's so many nights of just
logo.
falling asleep to to G4 TV.
It's classic right there. But he's been doing this for a very long time, and I know that ultimately he just wants to celebrate and have a good time talking about video games, and he likes to celebrate developers, but sometimes it's at the cost of understanding and really looking at the industry at a whole. I love video games so much. I mean, I game every day. I like to stay involved in knowing what's going on in the industry. That we're doing this segment now.
Yeah.
I'm fronting this Hardwired thing. I'm very passionate about video games, but I also understand that the medium that I love is not in the best state it could be, and that sacrifices might need to be made on a consumer side at this point to make life easier for these people, so we get higher quality games without killing off the best in the industry. Because burnout rate is higher than any other tech industry when it comes to game development. It is fast. It is like a year or two in the business at most. Older veterans stay in longer, but even then, they're burning off now too. And it's
like they say with the NFL. They say the NFL actually stands for not for long.
Right. Yeah.
And if you're listening to this, I'm a sports guy by trade, so like it was the same thing. And I love film and TV. When the film and TV industry had a reckoning like this, I felt the same way. But also with the NFL has sort of had a reckoning where it's like, oh, these guys are killing themselves, quite literally, are like killing themselves, and we don't even have a backup plan for insurance for them.
Right.
And they've sort of had this reckoning, sort of of players coming and being like, look, I can't walk anymore, man.
Yeah.
And it's not to that extent, but to the extent of mental health, and that's something that is really needed to be focused on when you're in your work environment. Go talk to somebody, by the way, but and take care of your mental health. But the thing with mental health in a work environment is you think that, oh, well, this is my job. I have to take whatever is coming towards me and do. And that's just not true. And I think mental burnout and burnout in your job and doing something that you love or that you think that you'll love, any job, is really something that is just kind of coming to the forefront, especially after COVID. And I think that you're seeing that even more so in this gaming industry, is that man, I am just exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm just exhausted. Like they have to be.
Yeah.
Because
I mean, I've talked to lots of developer friends of mine that I went to school with, that I've made connections with, through social media and in gaming itself, and all of them say relatively the same thing. I'm exhausted, man. This is tiring. I love this, but I don't know how long I can keep going on this.
Mm-hmm.
But we're gonna keep following this story and keep a close eye on the Activision stuff. Obviously we're gonna be participating in the Game Awards by co-streaming the Game Awards, and then probably next week I'll have a full wrap up of everything that happened there. You can expect some huge announcements. Jeff says that there's gonna be something on the level of the Elden Ring reveal from last year, which was a massive deal. On that front.
But we do you want to talk about the Halo Infinite dropping their campaign?
Oh, yeah. Got wrapped up in the other stuff. I almost forgot.
I mean, IGN came out and gave Halo Infinite a 9 out of 10. They said it was amazing. I admittedly have been on the PS4 for the PS4 since it came out. So I haven't played a Halo game in a long, long time.
Right.
My Halo days, you're talking to a guy, the Halo days harken back to when they had a free mod that you can get on computers at school, and we would all play each other locally.
Yeah.
That's how I played Halo mostly, and it's mostly been multiplayer Halo throughout growing up. And again, I've been on PS4 and PS5 for a while, so I am having FOMO though, missing out on this new on Halo Infinite, if it is as good as they say.
I've been playing a little bit on the Xbox Game Pass. I've been using the cloud streaming because unfortunately, due to supply shortages, I haven't been able to acquire an Xbox Series S or X, and even an Xbox One's been pretty hard to come across lately. So I've been playing on the cloud streaming service through my computer, and I gotta say, the multiplayer is phenomenal. It's the best feeling Halo I've played since probably Halo 2.
Really?
And it takes all the best elements of the game. There are those moments that are just pure Halo moments. Someone flying by with a flag, you gravity hammer their Jeep, it flips up into the air, you jump up, you get in. Now you got grappling hooks so you can grapple onto Banshees.
I have seen that.
It's so fun. It's frenetic, man. It's so good.
Some of the if you're on TikTok like the rest of the United States now, which I am, 27, I'm on TikTok, but the things that have come up on my page on TikTok of people jumping out of gliders and sniping somebody and then basically grappling hooking back into their planes or gliders and flying. It is crazy to look at, but as long as somebody's just not sniping you across the map, I'm sure.
I mean, that happens sometimes, but there's a lot of options. And I gotta say that this is the most engagement I've seen Halo get in a long time. They've had a lot of players involved. They grew from 5 million subscribers for Game Pass to 20 million subscribers during 2020 to 2021. So massive amount of people playing on the Xbox system now. And to see that this community that has long since given up on there being a good Halo game again come back for the multiplayer makes me excited to play some more of the single player. I played the opening level, and I like the new design elements. Really? I think there's a lot of really good stuff in there. Story wise, I'm still getting into it a little bit, and I plan to play a lot more of it this weekend. I think the open world style is still pretty good, open world game, but it's still pretty solid. And the enemy AI is a fairly difficult, even playing on Legendary where I play is
man, but those it is funny thinking back on it as a kid, and like I said, I hadn't played a Halo campaign since I was 12. But the enemy, if I remember correctly, the enemy AI always felt hard to begin with, even in those early games.
Oh yeah. They were pretty active. Once you started playing though, you got a lot better at it, and then you needed to bump that difficulty up to the true Halo experience, a real Spartan experience in that legendary mode. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. I know what the hardcore gamer knows what you're. I don't know what you're saying.
Absolutely.
I'm going to play Halo Infinite and get just run over by a 12-year-old or
As
something.
long as you're having fun, it doesn't matter how many 12-year-olds kill you on a daily basis.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I mean that's all of our stories for this week. We're gonna be trying to knock these out more often and bring you guys the latest in the game industry and games media news across the board. You can find us on YouTube at Hardwired. You can also find us on the kwtx.com/extra. We'll be streaming there sometime, and then of course you'll find us on Facebook whenever we post. We'll also put a post on the KWTX Facebook page.
Go like and subscribe this on YouTube as well, and I'm sure on any podcast platform.
Yeah. And feel free to write into us and let us know how you feel about it. And we're taking feedback.
Happy to be here.